I'm glad that our speaker is already in the house, and therefore I want to just go straight forward so that I introduce him, so that then we can be able to learn and also have ample time and be able to finish on time as well. So I want to introduce Dr. John, who has been our friend. He's a friend of Zuri Bisna. He's also a PhD holder in human resource management, and he has been a leader for more than 10 years in the public sector organizations. Then he's an expert in designing strategic HR frameworks that drive organization excellence and employee engagement across complex government structures. Dr. Kagwe has published many researches that expertise in labor mobility, performance management, organizational development, and he combines both the academic knowledge with practical implementation skills that have successfully led to HR transformation initiatives for thousands of employees while maintaining dual roles in academia. So Dr. Kagwe is an expert in human resource management, and I am sure this webinar is going to change all of us, and we are going to learn more. Dr. Kagwe, you are in the house. Tafadhali karibu. Let's welcome him. Let's appreciate him for sacrificing his time the way we know to do it best. Let me see your emojis. Let me see your clap so that we welcome him to take over. Karibu sana daktari. The floor is yours. Take over. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Dr. Susan. I hope I'm audible enough, team, eh?
Yes, you are audible. Yeah, you are.
And apologies for the poor lighting in my house, eh? As Dr. Susan has introduced, my name is Dr. Kagwe Kamau. I am a HR director in Embu County Government. I also am a PhD candidate, God willing, graduating this October. As she had mentioned, I've also assisted various organizations, especially Kirinyaga University in developing an MSc HRM curriculum, University of Nairobi recently in developing a Masters of in consultation with Kenya for 14 days, where myself and some 22 other HR directors. Yes.
Doc, your network is a bit it's erratic. Kindly check. Unapotea kidogo.
Okay. Hopefully I'm okay. Hopefully now it's okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay, as I had mentioned earlier, I have also worked with the World Bank for a period of 14 days, whereby I assisted the World Bank in developing policies and some guidelines, one for organizational structure, model organizational structures to be used in county governments, skills audit guidelines. I have also developed, apart from the HR audit, guidelines to be used across the 47 county governments, especially when we are working on the Kenya Devolution Support Program 2, under the key result area 2. So I want now to go straight to the point. And first and foremost, my lectures are usually, I like a very interactive class there. So in case maybe I ask a question, or maybe in case there is a participant who feels that he or she wants to chip in, kindly feel free. And I want to start. What is change? What is organizational change? I tend to assume that a majority of us in our respective organizations, we have come across change, whether it is through a job rotation, a job deployment, introduction of technological aspects in the organization, mergers and acquisitions, etc. So what is change in a nutshell? Change refers to a process whereby the organization wants to do what? The organization wants to alter, wants to change what specifically? Its structures, its strategies, its operations, and the organization or the company culture in order to do what? In order to adapt to the internal pressures and to the external environment. Kindly take note of this. There is a saying by Peter Drucker that organizations that are not susceptible to change usually collapse in the long run. And I want to give a very good example whereby I know all of us back then we used to have this we used to use this photography. I think Kodak, there was this company, if you remember, back in the heydays, these pictures of Kodak. Kodak, at the end of the day, refused to infuse technology. Technology in what specifically? In their practices, in their programs, and in their procedures. So what happened? At the end of the day, that company was shut down. Why? Because at the end of the day, it refused to integrate technological aspect. So that's why that company to date, it shut down. So it is important for organizations in the long run. If an organization wants to attain business continuity, if an organization wants to engage their staff, to motivate their staff, to ensure that there is commitment, and when I talk about employee commitment, I'm talking about affective commitment, continuous commitment, whereby the employees have an emotional attachment to the organization has to ensure that it has infused change, development, programs, and structures. I want to use another example before now I go now to the subtopics of today. I want to use examples like M-Pesa, Safaricom. What has Safaricom done apart now from the M-Pesa? When it comes to employee retention, they have a nursery whereby young mothers who are working with that organization, they are able to tag along with their kids aged below, I think, 1 day to I think 4 years. You go with your kid to work. There are nannies in that organization. They will take care of your babies. There are also those, we call them lactating rooms, whereby a mother, especially when you are winning, you have a small child, you'll be able to go and breastfeed that child. So what Safaricom has done, it has ensured that it has developed an employee assistance program. That is an example of a change. Why? To ensure that the employees that are working in that organization, they are motivated, they are attracted, and they are retained in the organization. I want now to go to types of organizational change. What are some types of organizational change? And I want to mention I'll be using my examples whereby since I've worked in the county government of Embu for a period not exceeding 10 years. And during that time, I have also come across the transition whereby change of power from one governor to another. That is also change. So one type of change I want to talk about today is strategic change. When I talk about strategic change, what is a strategy? A strategy is a roadmap. It is a blueprint whereby organizations have to ensure what? Organizations have to ensure that they have developed clear strategies in order to have a turnaround strategy. Because at the end of the day, organizations that don't infuse change, that do not work on their company culture, do not infuse technology, do not work on their products, do not work on their pricing to ensure that they are competitive prices, they'll be outrun by their competitors. Another issue I also want to talk about, another type of change, is structural change. And when I talk about structural change, is whereby for the organization to be able to move, to be able to run smoothly, for the organization to be able to attain its goals and objectives, to ensure that there are seamless operations in the organization has to ensure that the structures, and when I talk about structural change, what am I talking about? Issues to do with the relationships. Whom do you report to? The hierarchy, the chain of command, the Scala chain. Because I want to give an example, and I want to use myself working in the county government, whereby you see a situation whereby an officer has like 10 bosses. At the end of the day, this officer might fail to know whom am I supposed to report to in case there is uncertainty in the department, in case there is an issue that needs to be addressed quickly by the management. Do I talk to my CCM? My CCM is the county executive committee member. Do I talk to my chief officer? Is it the immediate supervisor? Is it the county secretary? Etc. So it is important for organizations to ensure that when it comes to their structural changes, when it comes to structural change, they are able to ensure, one, that either they have a flattened structure, or they ensure that the reporting relationships, the hierarchy, the chain of command is flexible enough so that in case of any change, in case of any adaptation of any change in the organization, the employees can swiftly take action. Now, another issue is the cultural change. And I want to talk this because I have seen a tendency, and kind apologies if we have public servants in the house. there is this tendency by public officers in government whereby people come to the office at 10 p.m., others lag behind, others even don't bother coming, others serve customers in a very rude way. There is also the issues of pilferage. You find whereby situations whereby staff are even stealing printing papers, staplers, etc. It is important for an organization to change their culture. What is culture? Culture in a nutshell refers to whereby it is the artifacts, it is the values, the beliefs, the shared values of the organization. If you're if you are an organization whereby one, employees come to the office shabbily dressed, some come with dreads, some come to the office anyhowly they like. At the end of the day, this is not hot desking. At the end of the day, it portrays a very negative culture. And that is why you see whereby instances whereby employees or even or potential customers, they shy away or they shun away a customer's, an organization's product or service because of what? Because of the poor culture. You find a situation whereby you want to be served, you've gone maybe to a specific hospital, but the customer care or the nurses or the pediatrician that you meet, they are they do not understand the nitty-gritties. Their customer care or the public relations skills that they have is zero. They do not even want to usher in customers well, to serve them diligently, etc. So at the end of the day, what does that do? One, customers will shy away from doing what? Customers will always shy away from ensuring that they frequent that hospital, they frequent that organization because of what? The poor customer culture or the lack of cultural change in that organization. So an organization has to ensure what? That it has infused their culture, their shared beliefs, their shared systems, their core values. If we say our core value is teamwork, and maybe the receptionist is not in the office on time, you as the boss or any other person, you are supposed to be able to assist the clients that pop in. But we have this culture in organizations, especially in the public sector. They will tell you, ngojea so and so. Once so and so comes in, he or she will be able to do what? To give you the services that you require. It is important to ensure that we change that culture, not just as public servants, but as officers. Either you are working in the private sector or you are working in the public sector. And I always tell people this: culture is the same way as charity. It begins at home. If you want one day to become a boss and you are the sort of person who goes to the office at 11 a.m., you are portraying a very negative culture to who? To your employees, to your subordinates, to your juniors. It is very important to ensure that if you are a boss and you're expected to be in the office at 8, kindly ensure that you are there at 8 or on before 8 a.m. That is what we call the changes when it comes to what? Cultural change. Then we have another aspect of technological change. Technological change is whereby the organization wants to introduce new processes. They want to infuse and use mechanization. They want to introduce the aspect whereby they are using technological equipments to ensure that the work that was to be done by either 20 people is now done by at least 3 or 4. I know when it comes to technological change, there is the aspect of the unemployment or declaring redundancy, but technology has a way of ensuring what? Has a way of ensuring now that work is done seamlessly, faster, and it is also cost effective. I want to give you an example. In the devolution conference that is going on in Homa Bay, we have two counties. We have, I think it is Homa Bay and Makueni. We have doctors whereby they have infused artificial intelligence. There is this something we call telemedicine, the robotics. I have seen also the same being replicated in China. What China is doing, because sometimes of the human exhaustion whereby the doctors and the nurses have to work for longer periods, they are now using robots. Robots are used for surgery. Robots are also used to take care of the sick people in the hospitals. At the end of the day, it results to what? It reduces the cost. It also ensures that this of the patient, in case this patient has an emergency, in case this patient falls sick and he or she is in the hospital, and maybe the doctor is in the nap pod. A nap pod is these rooms whereby the holding rooms, whereby the medical personnel or the human resources for health, they go and sleep. At the end of the day, these robots will be able to do what? Will be able to assist the patient. That is now the aspect of technological change. And I want now to go to my next subtopic. And let me ask before I go to my next subtopic, is there any question or any comment? Any question or comment?
We will ask after you are done.
That's okay. That's okay. Thank you. Now, what are some of the probable reasons why organizations introduce change, whether it is structural change, technological change, cultural change, etc. One, it is the issue of innovation, whereby innovation results whereby the organization wants to inject or to infuse new ideas. And by doing that, what do they have to do? They have to ensure that they have incorporated change management aspects. Then the second one is the issues on mergers. These are some of the reasons that make organizations introduce change. We have mergers and acquisitions, and I want to give an example of a bank. We have NCBA Bank, it was NIC and CBA, they merged. We have CFC Stanbic Bank, it was CFC and Stanbic Bank. So when it comes to mergers and acquisitions, what usually happens is sometimes there is uncertainty. The employees might think, if these companies merge and I was supposed to get this and this money, or I was earning this salary, either my salary will be slashed, or maybe if you are a boss, you have that fear of uncertainty. Now I'll lose my economic status because of the symbolism, because also the issues of economic loss, the peer pressure, etc. So it is important, especially when it comes to mergers and acquisitions, the organization or the HR manager in the respective organization is supposed to communicate on the need of what? On the need of introduction of the change when it comes to mergers and acquisitions. Then another reason why change is introduced in the organization is to try as much as possible to infuse a better organizational culture. And I'll give an example using my place of work. Sometimes you visit an office, and sorry to use my county as a guinea pig. You visit some offices. It is 10 a.m. There is no secretary. There's people that are supposed to clean the offices, that are the support staff. They are there in the office. They come at around 12 p.m. The in charge is not there. You even find some compounds, grass has even grown taller, as in unkept offices, etc. Now, as an organization, what are you supposed to do? One, there's the issue of infusing the issues of performance management by ensuring the issues of performance management appraisals, performance management contracts, inculcating and monitoring policy. And also we had tried even to introduce the BMS, the biometric system. But at the end of the day, there was resistance from who? From the staff. So at the end of the day, you as the authorized officer or the chief officer in the respective department, it is your sole mandate as enshrined in the County Government Act 2012 to ensure that staff under you are working expeditiously, are working seamlessly in order to attain what? In order to attain the goals and objectives. First, the goals and objectives are set by the governors as per the governor's manifesto, as per the county integrated development plan, as per the annual development plan, and as per your own personal objectives. And there's something I've learned when it comes especially to organizational culture, whereby we find us as the employees, there's something we call subordination of individual interest more than the general interest of the organization, whereby I'm supposed to be in the office at 8, but my personal duties have to suffice first. If I am I first go to my own personal errands, I sell porridge, I do other activities, I make sure that before I go to the office, my house is clean. I've done a lot of personal matters. Instead of you going first to the office, first clearing with the clients, ensuring that your duties have been done expeditiously. So it is important as an organization. Another reason that they always introduce the change is to ensure that now there is that cultural change. There is that aspect whereby the organizational culture will be enhanced. Another also reason why change is introduced in an organization is whereby when we have issues whereby when it comes to crisis, not just in organizations, also as an individual. And I want to give an example. You as an individual, and I want to use myself as an example. Way back in 2015, I had a disease called brucellosis. And the medication that I was using made me become so plump, so fat. that I was around, I think 125, I think 126 kilograms. So I'm talking about crisis management, and I'll discuss it using both my personal issues, that is an individual aspect, and the organizational aspect. So what used to happen is, because I was too plump, what used to happen is, sorry for that, it's network issues. What used to happen is, because now I was a bit too plump, etc., it resulted to a lot of other health-related complications. This is a personal story. I developed other health-related complications. As an individual, I had to sit down, develop a SWOT analysis, because I realized if I do not solve this, this will result to a very bad crisis health-wise. So at the end of the day, as an individual, as an organization, it is important you sit down and develop a clear roadmap. You sit down and say, this is not the life that I want. And at the end of the day, I need to develop A, B, C, D, E to ensure that there is a crisis management strategy in the organization. Another aspect whereby organizations have to infuse change is to motivate their staff. You, as an example, the participants today, sometimes it is important to ensure one, that when there is a challenge, when you have a personal challenge, it is important you sit down, you develop a SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. That will motivate you to attain your goals. Same case to organizations. Organizations, when it comes to strategic management, they have to ensure what? They have to ensure that they have infused change management strategies to ensure that staff in the organization are motivated, they are attracted, and they are retained in the organization. I want now to discuss the importance of organizational change. When we introduce technological change, when we introduce strategic change, structural change, what are the advantages? One, it helps the organization to attain a competitive advantage. The second one, it enhances performance and efficiency in the organization. The third one, it fosters a more engaged workforce. The other one, it fosters a more committed workforce in the organization. Then it also strengthens whether it is your individual capability or your organizational capability to deal with stress management matters. Then it also helps to resolve resource-related risks. Then another issue is it helps to optimize business processes and productivity. And also another aspect on the importance of change in an organization, it improves staff retention. And also makes the organization agile and open to innovation. Now, I want to discuss reasons for resistance to change. A majority of us as individuals, we sometimes resist introduction of change, not just in the organizational setup, but our own personal, in our own personal lives as individuals. What are some of the reasons why we refuse to inject or we refuse to adopt to change? One, sometimes there is this fear of unknown. You do not know. If today I decided to wake up and I decide, I was doing a Bachelor of Commerce degree, but at second year, I feel like this course, this is not the course that I really wanted. So what do? Some people some individuals or some students will wake up and say, my passion was in architecture. Let me visit the dean. Let me see if I can do what? If I can do a credit transfer. Let me see if I can change my course. So, but sometimes before you do that, there is that what? There is that fear of the unknown. Then another issue on change is there is mistrust and lack of confidence. Then there is the emotional responses. You do not know that when you infuse this change, what will transpire, what will happen emotionally, mentally, where you'll be at. Then sometimes the issues of lack of training. Sometimes as individuals, we want to bring in new developments. We want to bring in new issues. We want to bring in new change development mechanisms in our lives. But at the end of the day, there is a problem. You lack that training that will be able to inculcate knowledge, will be able to inculcate abilities and your skill set. Then there is the issue of peer pressure. Sometimes your friends tell you, sorry to use this, sometimes if you have maybe these friends who tell you, hey, let us go and smoke, etc. You know, what I'm talking about, the issues of bang, etc. And maybe at the end of the day, as an individual, you've tried your level best to stop. But at the end of the day, you see that this peer pressure is becoming too much. It is important, and I always tell people this in life. Choices in life, choices have consequences. It is important to ensure that no matter the peer pressure, in case you want to change today, kindly just don't hear to the voices of your peers. It is important you sit down and you develop your own roadmap on the same. Then there is the issue of the poor communication. Sometimes you want to change, sometimes you want to change some aspects of your life. Maybe you've been going in the wrong trajectory, but now you want to have a turnaround strategy, but you do not have a clear mentor, you do not have a clear mentorship program or a person who will be able to give you adequate communication, adequate information on the best practices to change. Then there is the issue sometimes of social displacement. I want to quit going to clubs, but I want to be labeled by my friends that I'm the go-to person. I want to be listed by my friends as the A-list person. But at the end of the day, I want to change. I want to quit drinking. I want to quit smoking. So you have that fear of social displacement. You do not know that in case I do not do this, in case I want to change my life, I do not see how people will view me. And that is why I always tell people, and I want to tell this team and I want to encourage them today. You can, every day you wake up, and I always like giving an analogy of the lion and a gazelle. It is very important. When the lion wakes up, it has to make sure that it has run very fast. It has run very fast to pounce on the gazelle. And when the gazelle also wakes up and it sees the lion, it has to outrun the gazelle. Why? Because every day you wake up, you have to keep running. You have to ensure at the end of the day, you run, you also learn, you adopt new change, you embrace change, you adopt new change methodologies, etc. Because at the end of the day, the same reason I always tell our employees, and I want to give an example, especially of the newly recruited employees. Sometimes when people are employed, you've just left campus, God is great, you've gotten a job. Instead of you sometimes taking a loan to do something constructive, I see a majority of 18-year-olds, of 19-year-olds. What do? They want to take their first loan buy an Infinix. Some also want to buy a fast car, etc. I am not saying a car is bad. Kindly take note. I'm not saying a new phone is bad, whether it is an iPhone or an Apple phone. No. But it is important you also sit down and look, is this phone really necessary at this time? And maybe back home, your parents are suffering. Maybe back home, there are some issues that you had that were better sorted out with what? With that money. So it is important also to ensure that we do not have that social displacement, because I want to infuse change. I want to do these things, but I fear people will judge me. And I want to use myself also as an example there. There were times, there were times way back, I used to love drinking. There is this drink called Tascasida. Um, there was this drink called Tascasida. And I remember I had these colleagues way back in the office. We used to drink Monday to Sunday. I think it was Monday to Sunday. After 5, we drink. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday to Sunday. I sat down one day and asked myself, are my priorities right? Is this really the life that I need? Every day, every day we used to spend around 5,000. Each and every person was designated to be buying alcohol, not less than 5 or 7,000 in a day. I sat down and asked myself, is it really worth it? That money you can invest it in a chama, you can invest it in a circle, you can invest it in doing something worthwhile. I had to sit down and realize, I sat down and drew a SWOT analysis, and I asked myself, are these the same friends that I want to be with during my retirement age? I told myself no. I decided to forego, I decided to quit that lifestyle. To date, we speak, but I do not use alcohol. Why? Because I sat down and asked myself, my career path, is it aligned to my goals? When I go to drink these drinking joints from Monday to Sunday, are they really aligned to my goals? No. Is it really worth it? No. Is it denting on my financial capability? Yes. Am I able to perform well in my job? No. So I can tell you for a fact, it is not good. It is not good whereby, as an example, whereby employees do not have and an individual do not have clear priorities. It is important to always ensure that you have clear priorities on what you want in life. And I think for today, I'll leave it there. I've finished my discussion. Now I want to welcome any questions kindly.
Thank you, Daktari. We appreciate that short and precise presentation. And I want to say that change is inevitable. And if you are an individual or you're employed in an organization, then when there is change, you need to embrace it and always work it for your good. And I want to say that as we are living in times whereby technology has come in, and I understand that we will be having a webinar probably in September or October on the future of work and whether technology will dominate in future, and we are still sourcing for a speaker. But I want to say that in times we are in, change is inevitable, and it's the high time as individuals, as Secretary has said, that we clearly define our priorities in the times of change. Change comes in, organization will bring in change. It talks about the types of change that we have in organizations, and also as an individual, change will always come. For instance, you have gotten a new job, or you have gotten a new status, or you have gotten something to do that you are not doing. All that is change. So as an individual, we need to ensure that we have a mindset shift. Ensure that you shift your mind so that you can be able to embrace the change that has come in your life or in your organization, and then you can be able to work at it for your good. Then you also need to reskill. He talked about reskilling, whereby if there is a change that has come over in your organization, probably there is a change of department, there's a job rotation, or as an individual, there is some change that's coming in your life, especially in terms of career, then you need to ensure that you have shifted your mind to take it positively and ensure that you reskill for you to be able to fit in the current times that we are in. Then, as we talked last time, we talked about time management in the aspect of managing pressure. Then we need also to embrace the productivity tips that we learned last time. We learned about the Eisenhower matrix, the matrix of prioritizing, and we also learned about the Pomodoro that we need to align ourselves to, so that we can be able to manage time. So as I allow time for questions, I wanted to add that in the era of change, one has to change their mind. You have to shift your mindset towards the change that is happening and look for ways of aligning yourself to the change. And they are saying that if you don't want to change, change will change you. So it is not good for you to wait for the change to change you, but it's good for you to change before uh, change takes your job. So I want to appreciate our doctor, and I want to welcome for any questions. If we have any questions, please indicate in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask, so that then we can have some few announcements to make, and then we can end the session for today. So any question, any comment, any experience about change? Probably my question would be, as we wait for the team to ask, whether you have experienced any change and how did you manage it? As we wait for people to do the chat.
Okay, the question is directed to me, Dr. Yeah?
Yes. Have you ever experienced any change in your
Yes.
time of work,
Yes.
and how did you handle it, so that we can
I,
help? Because the team that is here, we have some that are young professionals. We have others working. We have a mix-up of professionals. There are those who are freelancing. There are those who are young
That's
professionals.
nice. Now,
There are those who are already experienced. we have a
Mhm.
mix up, so we just need to balance it. And probably tell us, have you ever experienced a change in your work life, and how did you handle it, so that we can help someone here who has found change to be very difficult to adopt.
I like the question. Thank you very much, Daktari. I want to give an example. I said I've worked in the county. This is my ninth year. And in the county, the change that I've experienced is the change on transition. That is the dispensation from the regime of the former governor, that is Honorable Wambora, to the current regime. So what have I experienced in this regime? I'm not saying this regime is bad, but I want to say this especially to the novice, to the newly recruited people, especially in the forum, that do not have such a quite extensive experience in the public sector. I want to say this: I have met political resistance. Sometimes you are in the office, you are labeled a tribal bigot. Sometimes there are those connotations whereby this person does not come from this county. How is this person managing or leading our employees? Whereas this person comes from another county. You will face those. I faced those hostility, those remarks. And how have I been able to always come outstanding? One, the only thing that has saved me to be in that county for this for this time, or for the longest time as the head of HR there, I always ensure that I do not listen to cheap gossip. And let me say something. And I want now to talk to the novices in the house. When you get your first job, you will hear a lot of rumors. Say your boss does this, your boss does this, your boss sleeps with this one, your boss does this. I want to encourage and I want to say this: never ever have to sit down and discuss your boss with your fellow colleagues. That will be your worst undoing. Number two, how have I been able to navigate the political temperatures? I'm so good and sorry, I'm not blowing my trumpet. I am so good in what I do. I am so good in HR issues, HR advisory, that even if when they think of replacing me, they find it difficult replacing me. Because whatever I do, even if they have to replace me today, my job will require other 7 people to do that work. So I will say this: be so good in what you do. Aspects of reskilling, aspects of training, aspects of also ensuring that when it comes to comments, especially the social media, and I want to talk to the Gen Zs in the house. Sometimes some of you, so the reason why sometimes you find I've gone for several interviews and one question always pops up: how will you manage the Gen Zs in the organization? Because organizations nowadays are fearing to employ Gen Zs. Why are they fearing to employ Gen Zs? One, people have this toxic mentality that one, Gen Zs don't like to work, they are stubborn, they don't report to work on time. But I've been able to work with them, the people that have been hired in my place of work, very well. At the end of the day, there is a company policy, there is the HR manual, there is the disciplinary Embu County Disciplinary Manual 2024, and all the employees understand what they are expected to do. So the issues that are faced in my place of work, it's now the issues of the tribalism, whereby sometimes you are labeled you are not supposed to be here. Sometimes the political temperatures. Sometimes you are even told you are supposed to give suspension letters to so and so without following the disciplinary procedure. And I always stand strong and say, no, I have to stand firm. I say I'm a bureaucratic person. In HR, you cannot circumvent the laws. In case I circumvent the law, the next day, I'll be taken to court. I'll be taken to the Employment and Labor Court in Nyeri. So I always tell my bosses, no, if this employee has breached an issue, has breached peace, issues to do with indiscipline, there is a clear procedure on what should be followed, on what should be done to this employee, rather than waking up and because of political temperatures or political heat, you are told you are supposed to dismiss this employee. And remember, nowadays our employees are very knowledgeable when it comes to HR matters. They will rush to court, the Employment and Labor Court. They will appeal either to the County Public Service Board. They will also appeal to the Public Service Commission, and then what will happen? They'll be reinstated. And with a full cost, whereby the organization will do what? Will bear. So I've been able to handle the issues on change in my workplace because one, be good in your job, have the right training, have the right knowledge, be knowledgeable, Also ensure the aspects of teamwork. Because at the end of the day, for you to be able to deliver, you have to ensure that the people surrounding you, they are team player. I always there's something a principle by Henry Fayol called esprit de corps. That is teamwork. You have to ensure that the people that are riding the boat with you, are sailing the boat with you, they are not drilling holes. You have to ensure that you have the right team at the right time, doing the right thing. Because at the end of the day, you might have a team. When you are looking at behind, they are here drawing, they are doing the opposite. So it is important to ensure that the team is consistent, the team is working as a team. And also another issue I think that I have faced sometimes, if you do not toe the line, especially if you're working in a political environment, you are threatened that you are going to be transferred. So you are going to be transferred from your working place, I think, to a place either in the farthest place, either in Embu, in any other place. It has happened. But I want to encourage people in this group. I want to encourage the ongoing students, the people that are looking for jobs. When you get your job, be so good in it, be so passionate in it. But remember, careers are not our lives, they are part of our lives. Always strike a work life balance. Never think you are not replaceable at work. You are always replaceable. Always maintain a work life balance. Be in the office on time, leave on time. After 5, I used to be this person, sorry to say so and to digress. I used to receive calls from 1 a.m., from 2 a.m., from staff. Sometimes I even don't sleep because of issues that have even boiled up, issues that have escalated. People call you at 2, they are stuck in hospital because of medical issues, etc. But I realized at the end of the day, I am drowning myself mentally. I realize I need to have a better work life balance. I only work from 8 to 5. After 5, I do my other co-curricular activities. It does not mean that once I get that I won't receive calls at 5. No. But past 7 p.m., I don't pick calls. Why? I also have my own me time. I also want to come to my place and rest. So it is important, and I want to say this in life. Careers are not our lives, but they are part of our lives. Be good in your job despite the challenges, and especially when it comes to leadership. You see, some of us work in political setups. Today, your boss is in the office. Tomorrow, you have a new boss because of the issues of deployment. You have a boss that feels that you are a threat because you have higher qualifications than the boss. Sometimes those challenges are there. And I want to encourage you in God and say this at the end of the day, just know your job, know your boundaries. Because if you do not know your boundaries, you will always be clashing out with your boss. On a personal level, I think I have explained my challenge, my worst case scenario in 2015, whereby I was obese. I was over 125 kilograms. It really took a toll on me. I was back then. I think I was in campus. I couldn't be able to walk normally. I was sweating profusely. It was bad. Naturally, it was bad. I also had other health related issues. So I decided, I will not be carrying this sack of potatoes all through because of the issues of weight, etc. I decided to have a turnaround strategy. I decided to visit a gym, do some co-curricular activities there. And I can say from 2015 to now, I was 125. Currently, I'm 82. So I'm seeing there is a lot of change. So I want to say this at the end of the day. Sit down, draw a SWOT analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your opportunities? What are your threats? And I will always say this, always chase your goals fiercely. Whatever you believe in, and I always tell people, if you see people that have goals and those goals are letting those people sleep, those are small goals. You need to ensure that your goals are specific, they are measurable, they are attainable, they are realistic and time bound. So that at least you're able to do what you're able to have a turnaround strategy in your life. Any other question?
Smiley, is there a question in the chat? I see like there's a question so that we finish very shortly.
Yes, Dr. Reed, there is a question that is coming through here. I'll just
Mhm,
read it loud. From
mhm,
Carlos. How can organizations build a culture that embraces change rather than fears it? That is the fear of the unknown that
mhm.
Dr. Kagwe has talked about. Yeah, then the second question is, what steps would you take to ensure productivity doesn't drop? Yes, sir.
Okay. In a just a few seconds so that we are almost finishing.
Can I
Daktari,
respond to the questions?
please respond in a few so that we finish.
Okay. Now, how can you be the question from Carlos, the first one I want to restructure it in how can ways to counter employees' resistance to change? Or how can we ensure that organizational culture, when we're introducing it, the employees will be able now to abide to the rules and regulations? One, Carlos and group, you infuse training, the issues of reskilling. You ensure that the employees in the organization, they are thoroughly trained to equip them with knowledge, abilities, and skills. Number two, the HR manager in the organization or your immediate supervisor communicates. Remember, communication is a true traffic. The manager is supposed to communicate. Why do we need change? Why should we embrace change? And what is the need of change in the organization? Then there is the issue of having rewards. I call it the reinforcement theory, having the rewards and the punishment. Sometimes you reward employees that have agreed or they have taken a positive impact on change. They have adopted the implementation of change in the organization. How do you reward them? Some are rewarded through promotions, bonuses, some punishments whereby if the employees don't toe the line, you want to introduce biometric systems, but the employees that do not want to abide to such, what do you do? One, sometimes we withhold promotion letters. We withhold your salary increment. You are even transferred, etc. Then there is the aspect of, as a manager or the immediate supervisor, you are supposed to keenly listen to your employees. You keenly listen to their views. Before you infuse any change, before you implement any change, you are supposed to keenly listen to what the employees are saying. Sometimes what we always loosely say, kusikiza nini? Kusikiza ground. Then it is also important you involve your employees. The aspect of involvement, the aspect of involving them in strategic decision making, involving them in the change management making policy. Then there is the question that Carlos has also asked on productivity. How do you ensure that productivity doesn't dwindle in the organization? One, ensure that you offer health and safety adequacies in the organization. Ensure that the working condition is safe. Ensure that there is a health and safety policy in place. Ensure that the employees are covered under WIBA, that is Work Injuries and Benefits Act, and there is a medical cover. Number two, you also ensure that the employees are thoroughly trained. That is either on-job through on-job training technique, off-job training technique. Another way to ensure that productivity has accelerated in the organization, you offer competitive reward package. You cannot hire someone at 30,000 and the same person as a HR officer in another organization is being paid 200,000. That is what we call disparity in what? Disparity in pay. Then the fourth aspect, whereby Dr. Susan and myself have done thorough research on that, the issue of ensuring that we have implemented a work-life balance policy. We have Gen Zs in the office. Sometimes these people, especially also the novices in the office, some of them, when it comes to Friday, there are some parastatals that I know. When it comes to Friday at 12 p.m., they close the office and they go and do other co-curricular activities. It is important to also ensure that you develop a work-life balance strategy. Then another way you do not ensure that productivity has dropped. Always ensure that there are employee welfare programs, there are employee assistance programs in the organization. In case the employees are facing challenges, what we'll be able to do is the employees will be able to be assisted when they are facing personal related matters. Then there is the issue of involving them. You involve them in decision-making process. You always communicate to them that you need to do A, B, C, D, E to ensure that the organization has a turnaround strategy. And most importantly, is the manager or the immediate supervisor to always ensure that he or she has adopted a better leadership style. And when I talk a better leadership style is whether you infuse democratic leadership style, the issues of bureaucratic leadership style, charismatic leadership style, transformational leadership style, etc. Any other question?
Yes, Daktari.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, quick one before we
Mm-hmm.
conclude. There's someone that is asking.
Mm-hmm.
Let me check. What's the role of direct supervisor in a new staff?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
I like the question. I like the question. One, there is issues in human resource we call mentorship and coaching. The immediate supervisor plays a very pivotal role. One, in mentorship, whereby he plays a mentor and mentees or mentors the newly recruited officer or the newly recruited employee in the organization by ensuring that one, he has provided the basic equipment, he has provided the necessary information to ensure that the employee, the newly recruited employee, has performed the job effortlessly. Also, number two, the immediate supervisor also plays a pivotal role in supervision of the employee. In case the employee has an issue, the employee should not be reporting to the CEO, but he or she should report any challenges that he or she is facing to who? To the immediate supervisor. That's also another role of the immediate supervisor. They act as change agents. When there is introduction of any change in the organization, the immediate supervisor should be able to inform you as the employee that the organization or the management at the top, the executive wants to implement A, B, C, D, E. What are your views? So that he or she gets your suggestions and shares the same to who? To the top management, so that before they implement any change management programs, they know that at least this one will not go well with the employees. This one, the employees will take it well. This one, we have to implement these change management programs in phases. Also, another issue when it comes to the immediate supervisor. The immediate supervisor also plays a very pivotal role when it comes to advisory. Talk about advisory is whereby you are supposed to be advising your newly recruited employees. You're supposed to be advising the employees in case they have erred, in case they do not perform as per the expected performance standards or the standard operating procedures. The immediate supervisor should be able to sit you down during the appraisal process, and give you feedback that here you did not be able to meet your goals because of certain challenges, and there is also a time whereby you need also to improve your performance also by implementing or inculcating the balance scorecard theory. Any other question?
Oh, all right, sir. I can see that there is no more question for now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but we appreciate you, sir. Maybe we can give
You are most
Dr. Susan, maybe before we conclude. Dr. Susan, back to you.
okay.
Thank you, Anne. Dr. Kagwe, please, you can give us your part in short. So,
Uh, okay, I'll just say this. Individuals and organizations that do not embrace change are susceptible to fail. In our lives, in our own personal lives, let us always take those drastic actions. Let us always take those drastic changes in our lives. When it comes to organizations, it is also important, and I always tell my staff every day, texting someone happy birthday, you as the manager, as the immediate supervisor, you know that you maybe sometimes because of the issues of funds, you know that a certain employee's birthday is today. Just text as a team. Just text that person who just have a happy birthday card by just telling this person we love you and we wish you a happy birthday. Because at the end of the day, motivation sometimes is not, people are not motivated just by the financial aspect, but by the warmth that they feel that is being provided by their supervisors.
thank you, Daktari. We appreciate you. I can see you are requested to leave after you finish. We can allow you to leave, but we have our pages. You can we'll share with you to share with your friends so that they can join in our WhatsApp, not our WhatsApp, our Facebook, our YouTube, and other pages that we have for them to be able to get help or to be able to learn with us. Our major aim is to transform lives and to ensure that we continue to learn so that we can be able to cope up with the changes. So thank you, team, for joining us. Soon we will be bringing in our webinar, as I had promised, on the future of work. It's a very important topic in today's working environment, or in today, the days we are in. And I am yet to secure a date that the speaker is available. But I request them that when we change, please, and not feel bad, we will be changing so that we can be able to pay the speaker, and also we intend to give a certificate for the webinar that we will be charging. So thank you all for joining. I can see their comments. Thank you. I have learned a lot. Thank you very much, Daktari. We appreciate you for your time. Asante. Let's appreciate Daktari for his time, for teaching us today, and let's appreciate him. Thank you for teaching us. It's our culture to appreciate our speakers and to say thank you to them. We look forward to having you another time. I can see Anne has raised their hand. Anything I have forgotten, Anne?
No, Daktari.
Anne is
Well,
yes?
no.
Okay, Anne is our moderator, and she's our digital marketer, and she does all that work. So if you intend to have a digital marketer or to have someone to moderate for you, you can reach out to Zud Bisna, and then we will link you up. Thank you all for joining. Unless there is a comment from the team or something else that someone needs to add or say, I think we are done. Follow us in our pages and watch out for our September series webinar. Thank you for joining. We appreciate you, and have a good night.